Good evening. You're watching the main news on HKIBC. I'm Sarah Wong. Our top stories tonight. Fears arise that a woman who's been to several places may be Hong Kong's first Omicron case from an untraceable source. There's relief for some government officials as a woman at a party is found to be a false positive COVID case. And a child abuse scandal widens with the arrest of 8 more employees of a Mong Kok care home. People who attended a pop concert on Monday have been told to get tested after one person was found to be preliminary positive. This comes amid fears that a supermarket worker may be the first Hong Konger to contract the highly contagious Omicron variant from an unknown source. Isaac Lee has the latest.
Health officials are concerned over what could be Hong Kong's first Omicron infection from an untraceable source. The patient is a 58-year-old goods handler who works in various supermarkets across the city. They include some in large shopping malls in Causeway Bay and Tsim Sha Tsui. The woman visited the Brands and Products Expo on Monday and has been to Wan Chai Market several times. The N501Y and T478K mutated strains were found in her test samples, meaning that it might be an Omicron infection. Officials also disclosed that a 4-year-old girl tested positive on Wednesday. Her father, who was infected earlier this week, went to a Chin Hao restaurant around the same time as a woman whose flight attendant's daughter had contracted the virus. The girl attended kindergarten in Tuen Mun until Tuesday, before she was sent into quarantine. Another 2 domestic helpers who visited a church in North Point are among the new confirmed cases. The employer of one helper tested preliminary positive after attending a concert by Canton pop star Hin's Church on Monday. All those in the audience that day must undergo tests. Another customer of the Moon Palace restaurant in Kowloon Tong has also been confirmed to have COVID. He dined with the Cathay Pacific flight attendant who tested positive earlier this week. An airport worker who cleans Cathay Pacific plates was also classified as preliminary positive. In all, Hong Kong logged 37 new cases today, with 6 of them related to imported infections. Isaac Lee, HKIBC.
A number of guests will escape quarantine after a woman who attended a birthday celebration is found to be a false positive case. The discovery will bring relief to some senior government officials who were ordered to be isolated in Penny's Bay. Isaac Lee is more.
The preliminary positive test of RTHK radio host Joyce Yeung has been found to be a false alarm. Her initial diagnosis led to the disinfection of the station's headquarters on Broadcast Drive, and quarantine orders for 170 guests at a birthday party, which embarrassed the government. That order now applies only to those present after 9:30 p.m., following the arrival of another woman who was confirmed to have COVID. Government advisor Yuen Kwok Yong and Centre for Health Protection Controller Edwin Cui gave Yeung the all-clear after visiting her husband's clinic in Central this afternoon. Yuen said Yeung's sample contained virus strains from the Sinovac vaccine her doctor husband had been administering. 80 people at the birthday bash on Monday for Whitman Hong, a Hong Kong deputy to the National People's Congress, have already been sent to Penny's Bay. About 10 can leave as they were not present when the infected guests arrived. They include Police Commissioner Raymond Siu, who went into quarantine yesterday, ICAC Commissioner Simon Pei, and Financial Services Minister Christopher Hui also did not need to isolate. Chief Executive Carrie Lam, who earlier castigated the 13 senior government officials who went to the party, announced last night that subordinates would take over the duties of those quarantined. They include Home Affairs Secretary Casper Tsui, who was criticized by Lam for not setting a good example. Isaac Lee, HKIBC.
A health expert who advises the government has urged senior citizens to get a jab to protect themselves from Omicron.
At the moment, the elderly group the vaccination rate is still suboptimal. So those aged between 70 to 79, we have about 50% having received 2 doses. And those aged above 80, only around 23%. So this is actually very undesirable. If there is actually more cases in the community, causing widespread transmission, then this elderly age group would be at high risk of developing severe complications requiring hospitalization and with a high mortality rate.
New local COVID cases on the mainland dropped to 95 yesterday. There were 46 new cases in the Delta outbreak in Xi'an, where 3 people were arrested for allegedly spreading COVID-related rumors online. Cases also rose in Henan province, where 24 of the 43 new patients were found in the capital, Zhengzhou. But there was better news from Inner Mongolia, where all 560 patients in the latest outbreak have recovered. Locally, police have arrested 8 more employees of a Mong Kok childcare facility at the center of an abuse scandal. This takes to 14 the number of staff arrested on suspicion of ill-treating toddlers on dozens of occasions. Police made more headway in the investigation of a child abuse case which outraged Chongqingers when it was exposed on Christmas Eve. A 22-month-old baby was among 26 toddlers who were assaulted in a home run by the Society for the Protection of Children, HKIBC. After combing through surveillance camera footage, officers from the Kowloon West Regional Crime Unit detained 8 more employees of the Mong Kok facility. The women, aged 24 to 63, had worked there for some time. They are scheduled to appear in Kowloon City Magistracy on Monday. 6 other women were arrested earlier and charged. The suspects allegedly abused the children on 91 separate occasions.
除咗係打頭啊、扯頭髮啊、掌摑啊，亦都有掟啲小朋友落地下啦。
Superintendent Alan Chung said that included slamming them onto the floor, slapping them, and hitting them in the head. Police have not ruled out more arrests as they have more surveillance footage to review. Meanwhile, the HKIBC has set up its own independent committee to investigate alleged malpractices and service standards at its other facilities. Committee Chairman Lester Huang vowed to unearth the truth and provide solutions to avoid a repeat. 21 people have been jailed for up to 3.5 years for rioting 2 years ago. They were escorted to West Kowloon Magistracy this morning. The protest they took part in Trader Garden in July 2019 ended in clashes with police. Only one person pleaded guilty, and he was jailed for 2.5 years. The others will spend between 37 and 42 months behind bars, depending on the level of their participation in the clashes. An explosion at an office canteen in Chongqing has killed 16 people and injured 10 others. The blast, which occurred at lunchtime yesterday, is believed to have been caused by a gas leak. People were trapped when the canteen collapsed. About 600 emergency workers were rushed to the scene. They searched through the debris and recovered all the bodies by midnight. 3 white men convicted of murdering black jogger Ahmaud Arbery in the U.S. state of Georgia 2 years ago have been sentenced to life in prison. Only one of the trio may have a chance of parole after 30 years in jail.
I sat in that courtroom for 5 weeks straight, but I knew that we would come out with a victory. Yes. I never doubted it. And I knew that today would come.
Ahmaud, rest in peace, because Mom and Daddy got glory for it. Today, your son has made history because we have people who are being held accountable for lynching a black man in America.
Judge Timothy Wamsley said 25-year-old Arbery, who was jogging, was hunted down and shot because the defendants took the law into their own hands. He sentenced 66-year-old Gregory McMichael and his son Travis, who's 35, to lifelong imprisonment without parole. The McMichaels believed Arbery committed a crime in their mostly white neighborhood and chased him down before killing him. Their 52-year-old neighbor, William Bryan, joined the pursuit and recorded the shooting that triggered a national outcry over racial injustice. Sidney Poitier, the first black person to win a Best Actor Oscar, has died at the age of 94. Poitier was hailed as a trailblazer in black performance.
The cinema world woke up to the loss of a man who devoted his life pioneering black acting and combating prejudice. Bohemian American actor Sidney Poitier died in the U.S. state of California at the age of 94. The Bohemian flag was flown at half-mast on the Caribbean island and in its embassies to mark the loss of its national pride.
We celebrate the life of a great Bohemian, a cultural icon, an actor and film director, an entrepreneur, civil and human rights activist, and latterly a diplomat.
Poitier made a name of himself by portraying movie characters navigating racial differences and sometimes tensions.
The winner is Sidney Poitier.
In 1964, Poitier made history as the first black man winning the Oscar for Best Actor. He was recognized for his role in Lilies of the Field, where he played a worker helping to build a chapel without pay for a group of East German nuns. But Poitier retreated to low-key performance and directing work in the late 80s, when racial divisions deepened.
The actor's job to create.
He depicted the political struggle of Nelson Mandela in a TV movie in the 1990s, before moving further away from the screen. In 1997, Poitier was appointed Bohemian ambassador to Japan and received an honorary Oscar in 2002. Then U.S. President Barack Obama awarded him the Presidential Medal of Freedom in 2009 to recognize his trailblazing contribution to the industry.
On to the weather now. Tomorrow will be mainly cloudy with sunny periods during the day. Temperatures range between 17 and 21 degrees. Mainly cloudy on Monday, while dry and sunny on Tuesday. Now let's take a look at the weather around the world. That's our main news for this Saturday night. We'll be back at 10 with more updates. I'm Sarah Wong. Thanks for joining us, and take care.